All right, we've talked about what a polynomial function looks like, how to write it in standard form, how to tell what the degree is. We have talked about multiplicity, and so now let's talk about end behaviors. And so when I'm talking about end behaviors, I'm wanting to know not what's happening in between these two lines, how many times it's turning, how many times it's crossing this x-axis, but does it start up or does it start down? Does it end up or does it end down? Okay. And so if your degree is even, what that means is that your function is going to start and stop in the same direction. If you think of your x squareds, x squared is even, and you either have a parabola that goes up or a parabola that opens down, right? These start and end in the same direction. All your evens will do the same thing. So then to determine if that leading coefficient, you look at the leading coefficient to determine up or down. If that leading coefficient is positive, then it's going to start up and it's going to end up. Now the ending up should make sense. Again, if you have something like x squared, when you start putting in numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's going to happen? Those numbers are going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's going to end going up. It's going to go down when that leading coefficient is negative. So for example, negative x squared is when you put in 1, that's negative 1. When you put in 2, that's negative 4. When you put in 3, that's negative 9. When you put in 4, it's negative 16. These numbers are going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and go forever down. Okay. So if it is even, they're going to end and start in the same direction. So to determine if it ends up or ends down, okay, if it ends up or ends down, you're looking at the leading coefficient. If the leading coefficient is positive, it ends up. If the leading coefficient is negative, it ends down. So then odd functions are going to be at odds with each other. One's going to start up or down, and it's going to end in the opposite direction. So again, look at that leading coefficient to determine whether it ends up or ends down. When your leading coefficient is positive, it's going to end going up. In this one, for example, x cubed. X cubed looks like this. It's going to start low and it's going to end up high. If your leading coefficient is negative, then it's going to end going down. Again, for example, negative x cubed. Okay, so even starts and ends the same way. Odd start and end in opposite directions. If it has a leading coefficient that is positive, that means it ends going up. And if its leading coefficient is negative, it's going to end going down. So select one of the following 4 sketches that describes the end behavior of the graph of the given function. Okay, so we need to figure out what's the degree and what's the leading coefficient. Here, my degree is odd It's that 5. So I know it's going to be one of these two here because that degree is odd. It's going to end and stop in different directions. So then to determine between these two, we need to look at our leading coefficient. Our leading coefficient is positive, which is this 3 right here. Because it's a positive number, that means it's going to end going up. So end going up and going at opposite direction leads me right here to D. B, my degree is even. It's this 4 right here. So because it's even, I know it's one of these two. It's going to start and end going in the same direction. So then I'm going to look at my leading coefficient. My leading coefficient here is a -1. So my leading coefficient is negative. Because it is negative, that means that it ends going down. So which one ends going down, but because it's even, is together, and that's A. Okay, on C, my degree is even again. It is that 2. Even means it starts and ends in the same direction. And then what is that leading coefficient? That leading coefficient is positive. It's just this 1 out front. Because it is positive, that means it's going to end going up. So which one ends going up, but is together because it's even, and that's C. Okay, so hopefully this last one here is B. So let's go through the work just the same. My degree here is odd because of that 3. Odd means that they are going in opposite directions. So when we look at that leading coefficient is negative because it is that -2 right out front. Leading coefficient of negative means it's going to go down, or it's going to end down. So which one ends down and has opposite end behavior? And that's going to be right here at B.